Hello. I guess we're just gonna see if I can't make a new save file because yeah, I can. Cool. This is Roadwarden. I don't know anything about this. I bought it a while ago. I played it for a little bit. It's a little text-based RPG of sorts, and I'm just gonna go. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Roadwardens not only accept this struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, and, if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen. They live on the road, die young, or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one, and it pays well. I still have my doubts. Oh wait, I see. I leave the safety of the city walls. You know, I want to say casual for the sake of the stream, but I'm gonna go with standard because that's just the kind of person I am. The wall is still standing. There are no wolves around, no stench of blood. Good signs. This should be the place you're looking for. You were supposed to meet with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar, but the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and pebblers, but not beast folk nor trolls. And the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had a long day. I need to look around cautiously. Considering the noise, you doubt that anyone noticed the clatter of hooves. The short, dry grasses barely cover the arid soil of this valley, but you're maybe a minute away from the edge of the sparse woods, which get denser as they climb up the hills. At best, this trail has a few more years before getting overgrown for good. Hard to believe it's the only route north. Let's sneak inside, why not? This is where I'm supposed to be. Your heavy boots hit the ground, and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch out, bringing your back and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your axe won't be needed here. I approach the gate slowly. If it's a military camp, it doesn't look the part. Plenty of wasted space, the fire pit is cold. Two people are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They're looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. After a moment, you notice the quiet humming. You recognize the melody of a light-hearted drinking song from the city harbor. They don't look like much of a threat, I guess. I can enter. Let's meet these people, why not? It takes them a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes. His beard is messy. Despite his simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace, with a head covered in iron, hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. I take a look at the second soul. Just like you, she's wearing a gambeson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took it off a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Her eyes are weary yet kind. She smiles. Considering the squad was sent here half a year ago, these two surely look the part, though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. I'm gonna ask him about their lieutenant. You wonder how to phrase your question. friendly, playful, distanced. We're gonna go with friendly. I was hoping to meet with your lieutenant. Could we talk for a bit? Oops. We most definitely can, you and I, though holding this rank is still somewhat new to me. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? She observes you with curiosity, or are you looking for help? I'm your new Roadwarden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The soldier in the shirt leans forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. Better bring your beast here, adds the lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet it dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. How trusting can I be, I guess? I shake her hand. I'm Leto. Her grasp is confident, the shake is slight. Just keep your horse away from the tents. She steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. There's this one issue. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. We've no tent to spare. You'll have to use a blanket or something. No problem. I enjoy seeing the stars. You walk through the gate. Your mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans could ride a horse. It's only taller than you, but it's not only taller than you, but also bulky, as heavy as it is strong. You can get in the saddle within a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side, it's a wall of flesh. Horses were brought to the Dragonwoods from the conquests in the south. They can trot for a long time, but won't outrun some of the local monsters. Your palfrey needs you to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. It's my only companion here. I want it to feel at ease. It takes a few steps towards you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of its neck with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals and even pets as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom. But you know that horses need companionship. I speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit. Removing the saddle makes the horse nicker with relief. You take a couple of minutes to examine its back, just in case. While the riding equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal, with enough time it starts to chafe. You wish it had something better to eat than this shabby grass. You should look for an inn. I need to unpack. You haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. Worst of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. Shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. Aside from the travel set, you own a few valuable possessions, essential for your trade. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his toe. If he struggles, let him go. My mother said you are the very best one, and this is it, mage. I have a talisman that helps me use my powers, as well as an iron axe and a worn gambeson. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced. The spare clothes are still here. Just in case, you take a look at your wooden bowl and mug, your cape, tinderbox, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. Inventory. Food. Coins. Yep, that's all the stuff. I return to the soldiers. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them, eating out of wooden bowls. One more bowl was put at a previously unused end of the table. You can sit down on a tree log. Whoops. I join them and take a look at the meal. It's cold gruel, and the meal eaten in times of hardship. This specific bowl is filled with water, hog millet, and some strange-looking cereals and blueberries. Welcoming you with a meal, even a humble one, is beyond their duty. Soldiers live with and for their companions, constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship, and camaraderie. Roadwardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. They help the settlements stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. When there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. I eat quickly, not focusing on the taste, then speak with Tulia. She's focused and chooses her words carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. I'm afraid I can tell you less than I would like to and less than I should. She nods towards the other soldier. As you can see, there's not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead. 1 has run away in tears. We are also strangers in this land, adds her companion. Any piece of information may be of help to me, may help me do my job. The man leans forward, his legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story, tell a joke, or do a magic trick. Whatever it takes to escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What did the officials tell you? I expect not that much. No soul governs these lands. I share what I consider to be relevant, or I've discussed with the officials. I share what I consider relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you've received, since this area is too far away from Hovlavan to keep it under control. You were warned that it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits, or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Do they turn into walking corpses, or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me. I was looking for your guidance. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. Where should we start? Oh my god. A lot of options here. Give me a minute. What was your squad's mission? The lieutenant looks into your eyes. You know, the usual, making sure the roads are safe, keeping people alive. I explain that it may be important for me to know what they have tried to accomplish. I can't really tell you. You sense no hesitation. Do you have any other questions? I've lost my rope. Could you spare one? You're in luck. She heads toward one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. She brings it back and nonchalantly sits down on her chair. Take it. I was planning to leave it behind. I take a closer look. A fine rope. A rope made of hemp fibers. I take it and offer some food in return. Tulia leans forward and rests her forearms on her thighs, looking down with clasped hands, then meets your eyes. I'd normally refuse, but we need some decent food. Every day I'm searching through our groats, looking for worms and putridity. We forage, but it's not a great spot. Some food rations will brighten up a foggy day. For now, you leave the rope on the table. Before I continue my journey, I need to ask them about the peninsula and the Roadwarden. What should I know about the peninsula? I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey, I guess it would be 3-4 days. When you confirm, she continues. From here, you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make any stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. The sea route allows Hovlavan officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools, but maintaining order on a wild coast such as this one is like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from the shore, and boats can't get much closer. She nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore, and they don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to the camp, but when we travel to the roadside inn, Pelt of the North, they're happy to trade and to play dice. Why not just stay at one of the settlements? The man clears his throat. I mean, you know, we're to guard this road. This camp is our post, and, well, he turns toward Tulia. She lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way, Leto, but are you a devout soul? Part of the United Church, teachings of an order of truth. I have a place in my fellowship. You'd probably call me a pagan, or no, I'm not. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by its toe. If he hollers, let him go. My mother said to pick the best one, and this is it. The man nods. I heard that most road wardens drift away from the churches. It doesn't matter to me, to neither of us, I think, adds the lieutenant, peeping at her companion. I just wanted to make sure I won't step on any touchy subjects. You won't. Go ahead. The people here are disquieting. Every few words, she taps the table with her finger. Their traditions won't help them negotiate with the officials. Here. She starts to draw lines with her index finger as if she's pointing at an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads, like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village at a bog. It's not exactly pagan, I don't think. It even has a priest who claims to be an eremite. You nod. She means a fellowship. They do crazy shit, her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. Once I saw it, I begged to never return there. I see. You've heard tales such as this one since you were a child. If an isolated settlement manages to survive without a city's influence, its customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with, and the rustic pagan traditions muddy their river of faith. The United Church often warns its members about the crazy druids, necromancers, and blood mages, the bringers of doom, the traitors to humankind. Any monster worth mentioning? Anything that could catch my mount? We saw all sorts of beasts. The man starts to count on his fingers. Goblins, treants, cats large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spiked boars, mouflon eaters, griffins, but we managed to stay away. Some could catch up with most mounts. Tulia glances at her companion, though a palfrey should be fine. The trees are so tall that the flying creatures keep to the coast and mountains. There's not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting among themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast. Just count on luck. How about the east? She stares off across the camp. Hard to tell. We went there only once. There are hills, forests, rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? You can see why we were not eager to go there if we could avoid it, the lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'll be more welcoming to the Roadwarden. The roads are dangerous with little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. If you're heading to the undead village, you'll need an inn first, and soon. Tulia nods. Pelt of the North is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeeper, the guards, ask them about the road. That's all I need to know. She nods. I'm afraid we can't do more for you. Alright, more options. Probably dead. Probably dead. Probably because that guy died. Survive. This one... What? I mean... Yeah, why not? Anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built the camp to have an extra stop for mules and donkeys just between the inn and the southern villages. There's a plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. When the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned, from time to time serving as a shelter for travelers. The bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here whenever you want, the man concludes their tale. But don't expect to wake up without pain in your back. Alright, if you were me, where would you go next? The soldier answers quickly. To the end, of course. Oh yeah, duh. He grabs his empty mug. The one northwest from here. Northwest. If you can't afford the room, the main hall is free of charge. The locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentions Tulia. But the hunters will tell you about this and that, and you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. The innkeeper can listen and knows many souls. Any tips on how I can make a good first impression on him? She smirks. Avoid cheap jokes, stick to trade, don't waste his time. Shows him that you can be relied on. Alright. Any ideas what happened to the previous Roadwarden? Tulia takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him for almost half a year. The soldiers speak for a bit between themselves, trying to get their story straight. They confirmed that he had stopped by their camp a few times, but stopped showing up at all in early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tip of his knife without looking at you. I don't remember his voice, always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen his sword, fix his loud mail, clean clothes, write notes that on that wax tablet of his. Yep, and leave at dawn. Unlike us, Asterion never gets bored. Tulia lets out a joyous chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just doesn't like us. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone is keeping him in a basement. The man carves with passion. We haven't seen him, or his Saurian. Something ate them, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't they don't expect him to return. Richer Roadwardens often use four-legged, meat-eating saurians as their mounts. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable, and won't suddenly sink its teeth into an innocent passerby. Do you know what he was looking for? Maybe he left you a message. Neither one of us had any insight into his dealings, says Tulia. My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Asterian's stuff. Wait, she raises her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids in a village near Hovlavan. I was planning to take all his things there. A pouch, a second spear, a decent bow, some potions, quite a treasure. She glances at you, but I would much prefer to bring them to the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's the catch. She dusts off the hilt of her sword. We've hired a messenger to ask the commanders for further orders. Since she hasn't returned and you know nothing about her, she either ran away or something has happened to her. She sighs with resignation. We are meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us, tell us what you've learned about the man, and we'll get back to Hovlavan together? You think about your real mission. You were planning to return to Hovlavan in early fall anyway. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about taking away all of his possessions. True, he's considered dead. But he's considered dead. I doubt he'd True, but he's considered dead. I doubt he'd begrudge you anything. And who knows? You may just find his shell lying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears mail, uses a spear mostly. Maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair. Pale face, rarely smiles. She glances at her companion, but further adds nothing. But after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So find out what happened to him. Dead, alive, left, just let me know. What happened to your squad? The man shrugs. Bandits happened, and monsters. A strong band, though, his companion chips in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw some people living in this camp. The lieutenant decided to avoid it and look for an inn. We had to travel through the night for a bit. The bearded soldier scoffs and crosses his arms, but she carries on. If he had decided otherwise, we would all have died that day. The innkeeper explains that the camp is a trap, and the armed ones pretend to be soldiers. Stay there the night, lose everything you have. Sounds like slave hunters. Tulia sighs, very much slow. So, they killed some and took others away, who knows where. They were letting the northerners go, hoping to avoid their wrath. It kind of worked, adds the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate, it's not like the lieutenant didn't make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp, but we didn't know our enemy well enough. We were outnumbered, and they had an ice mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road and saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well? Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who have survived the skirmish were young. Too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good leader, and they didn't trust me. One of them got caught by a tree ant. Another ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt. So a werebear tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, didn't tell us that he had cut his hand while cleaning his gambeson. She lets out a ghastly chuckle. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed that he decided to walk north, find a new life, disappear. Idiot. What a colorful journey. The man tries to drink from his mug, but it's empty. You've made this place safer. seems tired, and who knows if it was worth the lives and effort. I know everything I need. Are you sure? Says the bearded man. We may not be around the next time you come here. We should prepare for the night anyway. It is night. I agree, Tulia sighs with relief. And may you do better than Asterion did. Stay vigilant, she winks at you, shattering the mask of a soldier. Thank you for your help. One more thing, if I can. The bearded man approaches you. Can you take the first watch? Splitting time between 3 people makes a great difference. You think for a moment. To truly rest, you'd need a good night's sleep. Sure. These people are also exhausted. Fuck it. Fabulous. He pats your shoulder. It should be calm, at least before midnight. Wake me up in a few hours or even earlier if anything happens. You mean like midnight now? I nod. You go to the barrel and splash water on your face, which makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After the night, it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, still too anxious to lay down. I prepare for my watch. The soldier in the shirt is eager to guide you. Just observe the area. There's plenty of griffins around, though they won't try to jump over the palisade. Probably. Better watch out for the apes. They climb up and carry out any food they can find. And there's this one really loud were-elk that keeps smelling the wall, though it has never tried to get in. He points at a gate. The lieutenant and I will block the entrances. They're quite heavy, so if anyone comes here looking for shelter, better call us to help you out. And if this someone is being chased by wolves or anything, better throw them the rope instead. He scratches his head. If it gets cold, feel free to make a fire, and the best place is on the watchtower if you may want to put a blanket there or something. The watchtower. He gives you a long, puzzled look. Oh, here. He points at the pile of crates. Oh, that's the watchtower. Just climb up to the tallest one. You'll get a great view at the northern side, the more dangerous side. And also, I know you're tired after all that riding. He points at the tents on the other side of the camp. I can handle a couple more hours of sleeping on the ground. If you wish, go there after me and rest, just this once. At least I have a pallet inside. Okay. I'm fine, don't worry about me. You put on your blanket. You put your blanket on the tallest crate and sit down. The night is warm, but the sporadic summer breeze brings a gentle refreshment. From time to time, your back aches, and you have to force yourself to keep your eyes open. The light of the moon helps you focus on the tall grasses. For most of the time, you spot smaller critters and birds, but there are exceptions. At one point, you see 3 horned deer trying to challenge one another. Before they clash their antlers, a 2-legged dragonling appears, heading its much smaller offspring. The furry beasts try to intimidate the predators with roars and aggressive head movements. After a few moments, both sides walk away slowly, not willing to risk the fight, nor to admit their defeat. I don't let it distract me. I keep looking around. You hear the death screams of distant prey and the mating calls of monkeys. Runners are chasing a gray hare. A group of muskoxen lazily chew the grass, preparing themselves to sleep. A dusky fox is running together with a lynx, making playful screeches. Thankfully, you never have to intervene. You just sit there, watching the not-so-distant forest, trying to outlast your sleepiness. You can only guess how much time has passed. You feel you've had enough. Once you feel you've had enough, you climb down and go to a tent, waking up the bearded man with just a couple of words. You confirm that nothing important has happened. I look for a place protected from the wind. I use my bag as a pillow, put my blanket on the ground, and cover myself with my cloak. You aren't used to sleeping in such harsh conditions, but it's better than nothing. The weather is gentle. Maybe you won't catch a cold. The stars instantly inspire your dreams, both with their splendor by making you look for patterns and shapes amongst them. Your job starts tomorrow. I focus on the real goal of my journey. The Merchant Guild wants you to take control of this realm. Your wandering duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula, learn about the territory, resources, and threats, get to know the locals, and, if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Hovlavan officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery, or slavery? At least I have time. 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Tulia and return to Hovlavan. There, you'll report back to your employers and get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goal to pursue. So this is... Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. My mother said to pick the best one, and this is it. I need to gather some extra coins so I can save my sibling from debt collectors. Your half-asleep senses are catching the sounds of the wild forest. Your instincts keep you alert and anxious, though the pleasant, humid late summer air evens it out slowly. You're thinking about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. All I can do now is rest. Do I have, like, a sleep meter? Health, food, appearance, armor, mana, pneuma, sleep. Your blanket won't be much of a bed, and the palisade barely covers you from the wind. Sleeping here will be severely uncomfortable. It's better than nothing. Roar. You take a look at your ambulance. For most people, they would be nothing more than trash, but you wouldn't sell them for a pouch of dragon bones. You use them to shape pneuma to your will. With these little mementos, the few spells you're familiar with are far more reliable. Who knows, maybe there's already some power held in them. You look at the old, though clean bandages that remember dozens of herbal balms and wounds. You can put them on your hurting muscles, bruises, and scratches, then hum an old song about time, which either heals all wounds or kills us too soon to let us bother with our problems. After a few hours or so, the linen will warm up, confirming it did its job. Maybe it will even out the pain of sleeping on the ground, though you'd lose some of your energy. Interesting. How much energy do I have? I think my pneuma is more valuable, probably. Yikes. You're surrounded by sunlight. Your back begs you to stand up. Before you fully wake up, you smell a roast. No, burning meat. Burning, rotten meat. Disgust crawls towards your consciousness. You stand up. Normally, you would dust off your cape and blanket, but your instincts are stronger than your routine. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. I go outside and see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at it contemplatively. Tulia is the first one to address you. Leto, she greets you with a nod. We use the horse's manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flames. It's impossible to tell if it belongs to a male or a female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. A traveler or an undead? The latter, a young one. She lacked the pneuma to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now, it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours and in each moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Soldiers, priests, village mayors, and even road wardens. Making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Tulia calls the undead a she. Most, unites hesitate to do so. Unites? Unities. I don't know. Time for me to leave. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She walks with you for a few steps. Find us here if you need us, or if you learned what happened to Asterion. There's enough ground here for you to rest. Safe travels. These words make you stop. An old farewell, mocked in a number of songs and tales. Yet you hear no scorn in Tulia's voice. You wonder how many acts of kindness like this one you're going to experience in the days to follow. She returns to the pyre. I prepare myself for the journey. You somehow miss the fact that your mount is already saddled and warmed up. You double-checked the equipment, but you don't need to fix anything. The soldiers were diligent. Normally, preparing for any palfrey for a long journey takes a lot of time. You put on your gambeson and make sure that your axe is tightly attached to your belt, and then get in the saddle. The palfrey nickers, ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads, north from here. Travel. This map is huge. Or might be huge. Gotta be at least, like, to here, right? Travel forward to continue your journey. Once you're done with the north, speak with Tulia, return into Hovlovan. Go. Even at a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles coming from further down the path. You soon find the pack of four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes and merge the features of birds and furred beasts. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. Their fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. About 24 beasts are yelling, brawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. Consider my options. You can't enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase after you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons why travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in groups. Usually, the safest approach would be to stay where you are, and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up to a couple of hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Tulia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. If I have enough pneuma, I can cast spells. Yep. So these are chants. I take my axe and hurry the horse. If we ride fast enough, we should be fine. I should stay here, better safe than sorry. Nah, we gotta go. And I've been stricken. Initially, your horse completely trusts your guidance, though after a few more steps it snorts. You prepare your axe and get ready to push away any griffin willing to jump on you. Once you get in the middle of the surprised herd, your mount squeals and gallops forward. The creatures in front of you flee, but others try to jump at you from both sides. You kick 2 of them away, but the third one scratches your leg. It hurts, though only a bit. You ride away, and the griffins can't keep up. You still hear their screeches when your mount slows down. Once I get to a safer spot, I stop to clean and bandage my wound. The road splits. According to what the soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest to the right is lush and the trail is overgrown. Kids used to have this song. How did it go? The harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure, do you truly dare? The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put there by someone who can't write, for folks who can't read. Covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say. Danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. I look at my horse. The horse's name is actually Bees. Bees is peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can't help you choose a path, but you've spent many years together. Happy to go on. It takes a couple of steps onward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. Time to make a turn. West. Bees trots with ease, unbothered by the new branches covering the beaten road. The bird songs and distant howls draw your attention to the forest, which gets sparser and brighter. You spot boars, roe deer, and saurians. The sight of a nearby wolf pack worries you, but once you push your hips forward and your palfrey enters a canter, the beasts don't even begin a pursuit. The speed alone will protect you from many dangers. You notice a stone tower taller than the trees. It must be the inn I've heard about. Oh, hello, viewer. Merry Christmas. I don't know who you are either, but welcome. Inns like this one fit the regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guided by expensive mercenaries, usually lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet, subsiding on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is white and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide, if not in the buildings, then at least in the yard. The expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. Many armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gambesons, each one of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen gray. I approach the gate. Why wouldn't I stream on Christmas? Hey, happiest. A woman in yellow armor leans forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all. In the woods, one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Hovlavan, but no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with a male guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says, there really are donkeys' saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? eyes seem pretty playful. I'm like, what's happening? I'm a Roadwarden, so I'm like a cop for this stretch of road that on this peninsula, and we're not sure what happened to the previous one, so I have to like explore the area and get to know it, and possibly like, you know, save people, fight monsters. We'll see. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it. The lessons were a pain. You get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that followed your first long journey, when your whole shell was crying. You illustrate the pain as you move your hand from your back to hips, then thighs. In return, the guards tell you about that time when they had to carry their friend with bitten-off legs for 3 days straight through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood. The woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you, but don't get so noisy when you talk to our boss. The man never smiles. He has the world's suffering sculpted on his face. She leads you under the roof, under which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post near some old hay. Once you're ready, go inside, speak with your boss. Maybe you're hungry? The other guards take care of various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head toward the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. I open the door. Good luck. Hey, happiest. Good luck understanding. I salute you for even watching this. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft, with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I've a keg of decent ale, wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon, today maybe, and we don't drink here before the even. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. I didn't read the little tutorial prompt that that was here, so that may be a problem. I keep not seeing them until they're blocking what I'm reading, and then I just click them away. Bad habits. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear that the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt of the north doesn't belong to Hovlovan. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed or a meal, you have to pay. We have some leftovers from dinner, but I need to check. I'll be cordial. Thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with the Roadwarden. He meets your eyes with a puzzled look, then grabs a wet cloth and starts to wipe down the shelves. From time to time, your conversation is interrupted by splashes of dirty water in a wooden bucket. Well, nothing is truly free. I have work for a soul of the road, but I don't need a new mouth to babble. He speaks slowly, yet audibly. I value my time. You should value yours. It's like midday where I am right now. I've got some family stuff to do later, but I've got plenty of time right now. I drink the ale. Screw it. The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as chestnut. The lee in spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know why there's so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with a worrying thought I have. Which is? There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day, they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt that they're the reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dwell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask, Thays, your mare, about Glaucia, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance, and a couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? 3. He observes you for a moment. 2, he growls. Fine. That's a shame. Enjoy your Christmas. How much money do I have? 5. Yeah, I need food. Do you have any leftovers? Yes, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait, then leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full and you'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway, and I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It's a long, curved claw, almost black. I reach for the tools. Half an hour? That's quite a lot for berry picking. I won't do that. Means I can eat berries. So, I see this is an absolute win. The tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. Oh, the berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks, unlike the snakes. Better scare them away with a stick or move them with a hook, and protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Fine. You step outside. Bees is pawing the ground. You hear the clinking of tools coming from the armorer's workshop. I go to the armorer. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are 2 people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. Greetings. The man raises his head, but it's the boy who speaks, focused on his task. He ain't talking. Tell him what it is that you need. The man smiles in confirmation, looks at the piece of garment in his hands, then looks around, shrugs, and continues to and returns to you with a raised eyebrow. It seems interesting. Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, this game was an impulse buy, and I also don't know anything about it. But the world is neat. It's like fantasy with a twist. It's like not quite what you expect. So far, anyway. At least with the creatures. Like we got some griffins, but they were tiny. Or at least, like, not huge. I'm in need of your services. He nods, points at the laces in front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them as if he's taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. He pulls out one dragon bone, shrugs, then another one, and waves them both in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what sounds like, I don't know. Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Your jacket is as good as this armor can make it. Cool. I leave the shed. I have stuff to do. I should go outside and forage for berries. Thank you, Meme Knight. I like my voice too. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know about these berries. You don't know much about these berries. They are round and reddish. You wouldn't trust a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. I gather the berries and go back to the inn. You've returned to the courtyard. Two of the guards are practicing in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. I enter the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. The innkeeper is mixing something in a pot at the stove. So, you again, need anything? I put his fruits on the counter. Great, he peeks inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I barely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Thanks. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. I might want to buy it from you. Ooh, I could lie to him. I don't think I want to make enemies this early in the game. Do I need it though? I'd like to buy it from you. spot that grabs my interest, honestly. Ah, I see. It's a nice one, ain't it? My guards once had to get rid of a pebbler. You can't really eat them, but their claws and bones are durable enough, so we put them to good use. For a moment, he observes your face. A single coin will be fair. Forget it. No, I pay him. That leaves me with, like, what? Oh, I've only spent 2. He takes it with a nod. Need anything else? I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so... When asked about his intentions, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. A very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins. My half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I'll make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be that Asterion stole the coins and ran away? He looks at the window and starts to play with a shutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk anything he had earned, and I'd risk saying he had earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've spent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day, and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs, then enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return to this whole investment thing. I'll think about it. So the White Marshes. And what about this other thing you want me to do, huh? He freezes, observing your hands silently. He wants me to get the answer from the mayor of Howler's Dwell. I'm on it, fine. What can you tell me about the peninsula? What could anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name, unless there's an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I'd call everything from here to the coast? The hunting ground. He glances at your eyes. But it's not us who hunt. Keep that in heart. But the beasts in all shapes and forms. His words gain confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for over 10 years, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It's just, once you get here and you see how harsh it is to hit the road, you have only more reasons to stay at the warm stove behind a wall, even if it's suffocating. He looks toward the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, that the people don't build hamlets anymore, that there are no more ibexes from the south, and the traders stay for only a few days. All of our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. What will I find traveling west? Are the eastern roads as rough as I'd heard? Blah, blah. What will I find traveling west? Well, there are hills nearby. Then you'll find a village, maybe an hour away from here. It was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago. Nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it. And they say it's haunted, but who knows? Who cares? He crosses his arms and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. You'll get to a large tree on the edge of the swamp. For the locals, it's sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mentioning pagans as if there's nothing unusual about them. There's a small patch south, which leads to an old mine in the mountains. Nothing to find there. But keep riding north and you'll find Howler's Dell. set a clean brook. Farmers live there, and mouflins and druids. They'll let you stay for a night, but they're not cheap. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means that they ain't been to the Ape Ale Inn yet. He lets out a gentle smile. I smile politely. I know only a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in their quarry and help other settlements build things in exchange for crops. Their forests and hills ain't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby in the mountains. I don't care much about them. They keep to themselves, and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. White marshes set at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. So, 3 villages really. Howlers, the one near the monastery, whatever it's called, and the marshes. Don't let their beds and palisades fool you, though. Weird people live there. Don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell other travelers as well. So, be careful about the white marshes, maybe. Are the eastern roads as rough as I've heard? Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here you'll find an old dolmen. A few of my people had to spend the night there, and monkeys stole food and gods from their bags. It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of his watch, but, you know. The eastern forests are wild. The roads are rough. Almost no soul lives there. One day all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east. You'll recognize the place. It's a nice home in a lonely meadow, surrounded by a wall. He looks toward the closed window, then at you again. Kind of like our walls, but simpler, without coating. She lives as a hermit, Eudocia. I don't even know how she survives there, but if you don't have a decent coin, you won't find much there. So, back to the crossroads. If you turn left instead, you'll see a road. People stay away from it. It connects the tower to the monastery, a shortcut between the 2 sides of the peninsula. I was warned by the locals not to use it. It already belongs to the beasts. Have you ever been to the northern coast? I only know about another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot. A bit less from the eastern side. His eyes once again focus on the floor. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place, close to the villages of fishers and hunters, though I don't know much about them. That's all I need. What do you have for sale? I can go and pick up a few things for you, some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage, not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyer was caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot. Just as nice for a wall. An almost untouched bowl of soap, priceless for a traveler. You can't tell if he's being sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash, strong, though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mention you'd like something more useful on these roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you'd pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of corals, a yew bow, wool cords, and the trigger needs just a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. Man. 3 coins. I think I probably probably need food rations. And I'm gonna save the rest of my coin. Do I have anything you'd like to buy? You pull out some items, but the innkeeper shakes his head. I don't need those, nor could I sell them to anyone. I'd rather make coins than waste them, so bring me something of value. I pack my things. Shit. Guess that's all I need. I guess I'll go to the well. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. You need at least one piece of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. Alright, fine, I'll buy the soap. Show me your wares. Soap, give me. Now I have a $1 left. Wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin or mud stains from your clothes. Oh. So did I not use the soap? What? Is there anything else for me to even do here? I approach the guards. The woman in yellow armor is kneeling next to a brown hairy boar, which is resting on its side. The beast is not as large as the dark ones from the forest. It responds to the touch of human's hand and brush with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of a hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the well, and you have no doubts that its charge would leave bees dead in a breath. When the woman notices you, she steps forward to the boar's disappointment. So, the new Roadwarden. She points at a window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we can use some assistance. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time on her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. The boar runs up to her, observing her boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She pats its back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time and can talk a bit about this and that. Maybe you'll get a couple of coins, or lose one, she winks. You could play dice, or throw axes at a target. Yeah, I have one coin left, let's gamble it. Your arrival, and especially the dragon bone you pull out, are cheerfully welcomed. Two of the guards bring a table from the inn. Another prepares a couple of stools and chairs. There are also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are either sleeping or have duty on the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious. The game is new to you, but in no way baffling. 4 people can play at once. The wooden dice are long, with only 4 dotted faces. Every time someone wins a round, they get a point, and the person with the most points at the end of the game wins all the coins. As you play, you don't feel like you have much control over the results. I blend in with the group. You share casual jokes, memories, and views on luck with optimal strategies. Bees and Tulia's camp are also brought up. Oh, yeah, Bees is my horse. Bees and Tulia's camp are also brought up, but when you ask about the roads or the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It's a poor beer made from the leftovers after the regular brewing. It's cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head, but you try to avoid the smell. Just don't spill anything, the boar may get sick, says your bald opponent. In a few minutes, you get 2 points, which are now represented by smooth pebbles. You don't really know how you got them. Either you don't get the strategy, or it's pure luck. Let's see how lucky I am. Fuck. After a long series of bad rolls, you finish with 2 points, the second lowest score. You put a dragon bone in front of the guard in yellow armor, whose comically exaggerated thanks are met with laughter. After the table and the chairs are moved back into the building, she asks if you need anything. You took all of my money. I was foraging for berries for the innkeep. She chuckles, so I've heard. Don't worry about it. Usually we forage by ourselves, but he wouldn't ask you for a dragon. He wouldn't ask you for a dragon for a meal. He gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. Wants to judge who's of use and who's too proud for their own good. Do I need to know about this person? I walk away. I guess all there is travel, huh? Go this way. The road uphill meanders, slowing down and forcing you to pay close attention, not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. I keep an eye out for any sign of life. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. Yeah, this place is ruined for sure. But maybe scavengeable? Approach the building near the field. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. But I want to be the scavenger. The palisade is in no good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of used force must have been huge, and you'd expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. I guess I move forward. Can I? Nope. I move forward. Inspect the pasture first, why not? You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, or antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. The southwest part, why not? The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling or a large wolf, larger than gray ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it on my saddle.
Probably explore the fields real quick, just in case. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should have already turned itself into a green lea. A barren field. Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the reeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. What is this spell here? Sure. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots, marking their positions by sticking a branch in the soil. All you can do now is wait. So you brush bees for a bit and make sure the saddle doesn't bother it. When you return to gather your amulets, all of them are much warmer than your skin. The entire field is corrupted, though seeing how there are already some plants growing from it, the spell is fading away. The curse is most likely as old as the last harvest. I walk away. I need these amulets to cool off. That was probably maybe not the best idea, because if I have to leave them, does that mean I can't cast a spell in the village? Should I come across a monster? The closer you are to the village, and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Bees, worried by the sight, pokes your head with its nose. Yeah, I don't have enough vitality for that, I guess. Leaning on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Maybe better to leave, at least to stay away from the village for the rest of the day. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? The palisade in the west. The tracks of human footwear and many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms, a good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround hundreds of tree stumps, already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? I inspect the clearing in the west. I feel like every step into the village weakens me more. Maybe I should return another day. Yeah, probably. The meadow is lush and colorful, and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes, you lead bees with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of a hoof falling into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals, though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. I leave the clearing. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? I go to the road leading north from the village. Let's get the fuck out of here. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow filled with crickets and rodents. I take a closer look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. I go somewhere else. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? I head to the river. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some of them black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. I turn back. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? I think I'm good on food for right now. It's Bees, my horse. I don't remember getting a fish trap, but, sure. Well, it's 8 hours before dusk. I guess I'll set up the trap. You place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait the stick and push it inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with the lid, tying it together takes you a few good moments, but it will be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and push it into the stream, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will be before something large enough swims inside. Still, it would be better not to wait for too long, otherwise the prey may die of hunger. Consider washing myself in the river. Wow. Well, that's like all I can do here. Guess I'll come back tomorrow to check that trap. You enter the wetlands with their many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between the gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger, with teeth and claws, is hidden below the water's surface. I stay away from the banks. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time centuries ago when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Bees is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. I smile and scratch the bottom of its neck. Go ahead. I'll look around for just a moment. You don't see any creatures nor humans. I'm gonna look into the water. You step cautiously. Without knowing how deep it gets, you have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of a pond. Inside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. Take a closer look at the roots. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. Gross. Meat tree. I do something with it? What? This is too vague. I do something with it. Stomp. Kick, I guess. Sure. The root is flexible and stretchy. Your blunt hits sink into it like it's a pillow. Whenever you lean away, it returns to its original shape. Gross. Cut. You pull out your knife, then stop in place. You can't tell what the results of wounding the tree will be. I'm gonna look at the altar first. And then maybe I'll cut it. There's clumped dirt in the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. I would assume there's magic in the altar. I'll try to make an offering. What do I have to offer? Yeah, sure. Food. You place any type of food you can find in your sacks on the nearby plants, but none of them seem to make any difference. Fine. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits into the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots on the altar next to the roots beneath it, and a few steps away, on the boulder, you begin the ritual, after which all you can do is wait. You go for a walk with bees, making sure there are no monsters in your vicinity. When you return to collect your amulets, only the one placed on the rock hasn't changed its temperature. The others are cold. The closer they are to the tree roots, the cooler they are, almost painfully so. This is not what was supposed to happen. If the objects are filled with magic, the spheres get warmer. If not, they stay in their original state. But why this? You've never seen such a reaction. Maybe it's like sapping the magic. Giving the magic suck. Why did I say that? Well, I guess that's the end of that. because I can't... Yeah, I can't go, I can't cut the route anymore. I missed my opportunity. What the fuck am I doing? I can't remember. There's too many directions. So, mostly I gotta find the Roadwarden. That's my ticket out of here. Find the Roadwarden. In the White Marshes to the northwest. Okay. And... okay. Well, where is that? Along the western road. Okay. So, I might find the other Roadwarden to the northwest, and then along the western road there is some other shit to do, I guess. So we're gonna go north. You slow down. Among the shrubs, a small pack of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a grey auroch. One of them, with red feathers on its arms, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but it doesn't move forward, and returns to its meal. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be, satisfied with their prey, or would they run after you? But if so, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward, yet stay safe. The powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. I ride forward, but keep my distance and look over my shoulder. The beaten road serves your palfrey well. The forest to your left becomes sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of human-made paths along the fruit-bearing trees. On your right, there's a large pasture with at least a dozen massive mouflons. 2 of them, already sheared, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast nourishing fields filled with rye, still green, preparing itself patiently for the second harvest. The path ends with a massive wooden gate. The stone wall, separating you from the glow of lights behind it, isn't as tall as the roofs, but you can't imagine climbing to its top. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, a sign of many hours of labor, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as a city district. The birds and monkeys are now just a distant echo, replaced with the sounds of carts running, hammers, saws, laughter, and shouts. Finally, maybe I can rest here, because I need rest. A young man is leaning against the closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. Beneath the green gambeson he wears an expensive tunic decorated with colorful trim. From his arm hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin that it's mostly made of wood and leather. He moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. He's standing upright with his chin up. There are 2 weapons on the ground leaning on the ground, leaning on the wooden beams of the gate. An axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach for either. You dismount slowly, with not much vigor left. Bees holds its tail high. A narrow path leads north, toward 2 field workers, one with a hoe and one with a pitchfork. They wave to you. You can't see their faces, but their clothes are simple. Gray pants and vests made from hemp and wool. I wave back. Why not? They talk for a bit, looking toward you and pointing at your mount, then walk away, disappearing behind the wall's corner. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes, and has to clear his throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveler. You're nay here to make trouble. Howler's Dwell welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is, he bows. You realize there's a well-practiced performance. If it's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything you need right here, in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, and robes, or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you we have the fabric you're looking for. His act is over, and he glances at your mount with a moment of silence. His eyes get wider as he observes it with childlike fascination. Oh. This is... I don't trust you with bees. I'm Leto, your new Roadwarden. I want to see your mayor. City folk, eh? The mayor is busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. He knocks at the gate, which is then pulled inwards by two other guards, a man and a woman, wearing their own gambesons, similarly green but tailor-made to match their figures. The nearby buildings are simple houses made of wooden beams and covered with thatch, while the storehouse is even more modest, with a group made of planks. The watchtower has a ladder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment. The guard strides away before he finishes the last word. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east, to a humming creek running through the center of the village. I wait for the return of the messenger. Calming sound, eh? That's Howler's Creek. The guard, like most of the locals, is taller than you. Wide, but shallow. There's nae been a flood in years. Pa told me there used to be nae bridges. Neighbors crossed it with their boots in their hands. And this clean like a raindrop, but there are nae many fish. I can't tell what you're saying. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She can nae come now. A friend of mine is in labor, The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I was asked to show you to the village. I nod. Fine. Oh, these are like the story events. Will they like fill up all the way? Go around maybe? He approaches the watchtower. Tie your mount here. We'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbors are getting ready to celebrate. Once you're done, he grabs the rope ladder. The view from up there is gorgeous. I nod and think of my knife. If it's a trap, I'll get him first. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly, like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm yourself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile, with no weapon in sight. I look around. See? There's nae a place like Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks in the pastures and the shepherds inspecting the fences. The ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself, the sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you are to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer, 'tis excellent. He sounds like a city merchant who's trying to sell an old house. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't he be? They've tamed this scrap of land and live in comfort. But something smells fishy to me. The islet in the middle connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever opened, as it leads to nowhere now. Near the eastern gate, there's the Ape Ale Inn, where you can find a bed and victuals. There's the stall where Akakio's rewards our work, unless we annoy him with pointless talk. He lets out a chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek, there's another white house. It belongs to Bion, the best clothier in the north. The priests live in the southeast near the wall, but they do nay talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisher, the miller. The pie maker lives with his sister, the baker. The smith and her husband, the carpenter, live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points at the islet again. There, see? The mayor's coming. The one wearing purple. You're free to join her. Traveler. I nod and climb down. You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that it's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you've touched the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasturage surrounded by a wooden fence, a few loose chickens, and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewash coating, surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for bees walking on the wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall, painted with the shapes of colorful flowers. I walk over the second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people, observing you, smiling, or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Finally, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the center, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall, perfect for sitting. But the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. Weird. Is it this guy right here? It's gotta be that one, right? This one. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. Judging by the tables, stools, and benches outside of it, it's open for guests. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you catch their curious glances on the side of the dining area. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with the tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by himself, eating a pie, with a walking stick leaning against the table. A young woman is leaning the empty mugs in the creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. I need a spot to tether bees. There's a wide wooden roof right next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and snacks. You move your mount next to a donkey to a beam placed there just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Bees starts to chew on the nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. I look for the mayor and approach her. She's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and the added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mayor titters. Do not get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll go to help Papa in the kitchen, aye? She gives you a radiant, though apologetic smile, then turns her attention back to her companion. I observe her more closely. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in blue and once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which would draw looks even in Hovlavan. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist has a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and roughed, rouged cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they're a bit closer to wine red. The thick, gray strands in her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the color of her cape, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance, even though her posture is upright, her legs confidently crossed, and her delicate voice assertive. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. I'd sit down on a bench, I guess. Just a moment, please. She glances at you harshly and puts the boy on the ground. I'm sorry, love, but I need to speak with our guest. Darling, she addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of a question at her or suggestion. Yes, ma, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of the kids resemble their mother. The flowing water hits silently the rocks and wooden stakes surrounding the isle, then splits into two stream beds. In Hovlavan, the river is surrounded by tall walls, protecting the banks from deterioration, and the water is seldom free of dirt. Here, the smell is as fresh as it would be in the woods. So we have a Roadwarden again. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. Where? It's not shown there, I guess. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. No food is free. Now, let's nay get silly. She lowers her voice. Nathing is free. But nay, every act of kindness is a trap. I'll fill your stomach now, and we'll both fill our pouches later on. And of course, she brings her back her smile. 'Tis a custom of ours to lend a hand to lost travelers. The forest is full of fruit, and there's no reason for us to suffer from hunger. Then I accept. That's a relief. You're saving me from one awkward dinner. She taps her chest and looks at a flock of birds that fly above loudly, heading south. As we're waiting, be so good as to help me understand something. Eva, if you're but a mercenary, I can nay imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. Nay, so long after Asterian's disappearance, there's nay glory or treasures to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the foreigners pointing at you. You were sent here by the merchants. They want the peninsula. I'd have the strangest feeling I need to be a little distanced. This place feels a little bit culty. I simply explain the situation. You introduce yourself and confirm her suspicions. The guild and deputy are in agreement. They are willing to send troops to this place, defend the settlements, and patrol the roads. They'd cover their pay. You'd only have to look after their board and lodging. You explain that the rate of taxes is open to negotiations, but they would be taken twice a year, in spring and fall. You have time to think about it, you assure her, and you're free to consult with your people. Safer roads bring many travelers, artisans, merchants. I know you realize it's an opportunity. Yes, I do, she finally interrupts you. But roads bring other people as well, not all of them desired by us. She observes your palfrey. She twists her deer buckle left and right, left and right. The times have changed, and your superiors were kind enough to send a messenger, not a temple guard, with a list of demands. She grasps the buckle with her fist, but when it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. This is why I don't trust her. This whole thing is like a big act. You don't have to trust anyone blindly. The negotiations can satisfy both sides. Oh, I wouldn't dare to trust some coin-hoarding trolls, she laughs at her own joke. They would devour the walls that defend them if they could. and I know some of the dirty tricks they use. Here, listen to this one. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand, covering her mouth with another, and leans forward and rests her elbows, allowing her hands to freely make gestures. You make a deal with a settlement, flour and wool in exchange for coins and tools. You send the first traders, and they imply that you're ready to pay. You send the first traders, and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and wool. We can butcher more mouflons, the locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn one of your fields into a pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts, and she has no issue switching between accents. Merry Christmas, Matt is me's, or however you say that. Hope you're having a good day. I keep a straight face. I don't trust this person. She swings her hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds, and the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more highwaymen now. If you want us to come again, you need more mouflons, and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? With a haunting laugh, she straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third her age. Turns out, the village can't say no anymore. They lack supplies, seeds, and land. They can't refuse. I mean, that is right. Don't you think the city would see value in keeping you strong? I am an officer, after all. I'm the Roadwarden. Ha! I definitely don't think so. While the 10 cities are trying to get back on their feet, the tribes are safe, but once they feel confident enough to strike down the resistance, oh, they will. Especially since there's no imperial court to temper their ambitions. She reaches for her buckle. A weak settlement with a garrison loyal to Hovlevan's interests is always more reliable than a place like ours, which can always get loose. No matter what happens, I'm going to look at their hands. And you can tell them that. She nods towards you. But you should also take an example from our caution. She straightens up and adjusts her cape. Let's finish the introductions. I'm Dace, the keeper of the Ape Ale Inn and the mayor of Howler's Dell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answer back to Hovlevan. She wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan? After winter? It depends on what you can sell, and what you want in return. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma of roasted mutton covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey tempts you to bite in right away. The juices are sinking into the round trencher, a place made of simple brown bread. There's also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes and a sliced boiled egg, and a mug filled with cold buttermilk. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother. And in the end, the innkeeper himself shows up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and, after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Thace tears the meat into smaller pieces, then eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Meanwhile, we get to the important stuff. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes in grain and vegetables, with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she claims proudly, so we don't need your guards on our walls. But a lone Roadwarden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters willing to patrol the paths, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese, and wool, so the mayor spends a good couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer, especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as those made by Master Crispus. You vaguely recognize the name of this tailor shoemaker, but you've never earned enough to pay him for as much as a single sleeve. And, of course, we will never reject some steel and bronze. We lack alloys for sickles and scythes. She then repeats her question about starting a trade route. Don't feel bad for leaving. This is the most attention a stream of mine has gotten, I think. Without me sharing it around at all. Truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It's going to take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but you won't find much in the other tribes. They have barely enough to survive, even after they trade for our crops. For we have only decent soil in this realm. At least the people of Gale Rocks have salt and barrels of fish, while Creeks sells meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been in Creeks yet, the farthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. She nods with a smile. They could use your help with keeping their roads safe. White Marshes, on the other hand, as well as Old Pagos, are close to worthless. For a trade route, that is. She clears her throat. After these words, she stands up, walks to another table, and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her, then starts to chew on the soggy bread. She sits down, wipes her hand into a clean cloth, adjusts the folds of her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me, Leto, how's Hovlavan? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. This place is so culty. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Not everyone has their own bed, but the new generation is ready to start their own fight. And I was afraid I was lost to hunger. Her chuckle was trimmed with scorn. This is what I mean. It's too happy, and when it's bitter, it's so bitter, right off the bat. This is a cult. Good to know I was wrong. When the invasion started, some merchants were cheering in their houses, happy that they would sell out all the blades and food that they had stored. Can you believe it? This panic will make us rich. She imitates the voice of a pompous man. That's why, when the southerners reached the villages, they found almost nothing to eat. She sighs. Staying in a remote peninsula truly can be a blessing. She pauses, hesitant to go on, then shakes her head lightly. Well, we can't change the past. How can I help you, Leto? I'm looking for Asterion. She stares you in the eyes, then turns toward Bees. Is your palfrey a mare? You have 2 jacks. We have 2 jacks. Could use some mules. I'm looking for Asterion. I heard you, but he's not welcome here. Her voice is harsh, and I don't know where he went. We haven't burned him or fought his awoken shell, wherever he is. A long pause. It's not our problem. Fuck this lady. If you have to know, he failed and won't get a second chance. He was meant to escort Aegidia, a daughter of mine, to her betrothed in Gale Rocks. She was a great archeress, and the road from here to the coast is not that dangerous. When they saw goblins on the road, Asterion ordered her to push through, right into their trap. She touches her deer-shaped buckle. They got jumped like a bunch of wealthy pilgrims. A Roadwarden worth their gruel should know better. He can fight with a blade, but my girl, she never had a chance. She sighs and looks at the gate. He disappeared soon after his pitiful attempt at apologizing to me, and we closed our doors behind him, for good. I'll let you know if he ever tries to return. Yeah. Like, get me out of here. I wonder, back in Hovlavan, did you spend any time in Backwood Corner? It used to be this dark, dirty alley with muggers working even in daylight. I stayed there with Octavia, the miller, in exchange for doing some chores for her. She had this small wooden hut. You'd probably be happy to know this. At least, if my thinking is that if I act really friendly to this lady, then she's gonna screw me over at some point. But also, I can't just be like totally cold to her, because then I'll never be accepted in this village again. So I think there's no such street anymore. It fell to a great fire. You tell her about the riots that happened 2 years ago after the invasion, led by a hungry, ill people with no place to go. You describe briefly the streets that have risen from the ashes, but it doesn't spark her interest. I can't say I miss that place, but it's weird to think that such a strong memory is no longer a part of reality. Like a tree you've walked by 1,000 times and one day it's been cut down. She sits silent, absently observing your lips. Was I in Pell to the North? Oh. I see. So yeah, that's the first place I went to. Interesting, interesting. I've been doing this for 2 hours? Damn. What time is it? Okay. I still have a little bit of time. Tell me about Howler's Dell. It is what it seems like, the greatest village in the far north. Wait, is this Howler's Dell? Am I stupid? It is. The mayor shrugs off and titters, then meets your eyes again. Life's good here. We have what we need and a lot of what we want, building on top of more than 12 generations of hard work and bravery. She spends a good few minutes telling you about mouflons, wheat, rye, hemp, cheese, wool, and proud of every glimpse of prosperity. Whenever she mentions an artisan, shepherd, or farmer, she doesn't miss a chance to mention how significantly she improved their conditions. Cult. She's a cultist. She's a cult leader. She also omits some topics. You hear of no tales, songs, ancestors, rituals, or days of prayer. It's like listening to a tax collector. Only at the very end of her speech does she mention the wisdom of the elders, now kept in the teachings of the druids, who help her guide those who trust her. They heal our wounds and our gardens, she explains, but then changes the topic to all the fruit, trees, hairs, and nuts in the wood. I nod politely. Tell me, how do people dress in the city these days? Is it similar to what we have here? Before the war, the merchants were wearing those really long dresses and robes, way too long for my taste. They got mud stains after every rain, and I see no reason to keep shoes completely hidden. As far as I can tell, many folks wear headgear. This one seems a little bit too dismissive. You describe the complex world of veils worn by rich folks who try to express their modesty by covering their long hair, of hoods, which, thanks to the colorful embroidery, get fancier with every year, of light caps and heavier turbans introduced by merchants from the southern realms. The mayor has plenty of questions about colors, materials, prices. Only after you satisfy her curiosity does she let you change the topic, though still with shining eyes. When you mention the raids on the northern villages, her eyes narrow. Are you sure? It's the first I've heard about it. Glossia has been around since years back, but she's not much of a nuisance. Okay, yeah, I really don't trust you now. I'm just a messenger. He's asking for you to join forces with him. Well, I can't give you my answer. I won't ask our hunters to endanger their lives in the pursuit of some gossip. I don't have time for this. Should I tell the innkeep that you're not interested in collaboration? Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. She raises her chin. I guess you should. Fuck you, lady. I'm tired of you already. The man behind the counter is inspecting a sack of white flour, mumbling to himself and occasionally cursing. The other locals walk away, giving you space to talk, trade in peace. Weevils, he points at a little dark blue insect that's trying to flee. Shit me fire, 'twas ground a few days ago. Nay pies for us tomorrow, looks like. He puts the sack on the ground. I'll take care of it later. Roadwarden, Eva the mayor cared enough to see you, and kids are lining up to look at your horse. Strangers are like ghosts to them now. He's wearing a simple brown robe with no hood, a rope instead of a belt, and modest trim made of green thread. It barely reaches below his knees, revealing his sandals and crude pants made of linen. At the same time, it's way too large for him and hangs from him like a bag. He looks like a poor vendor from Hovlovan. He stands sideways to you with legs crossed, leaning on the counter with one hand and keeping the other one on his hip. He's around 40, short and a bit greasy, with a humble beard and hair. His fingers are unusually long. I'll just be friendly. You're a trader, I assume. I guess we'll see each other often. For you, a trader. For my neighbors, the treasurer. My name's Akakios. Everyone brings here what they have in abundance, and I either sell it to travelers or divide it among the workers, builders, artisans. These things are nae mine. He runs his eyes over the crates and barrels. But I can show you our wares if you want. But do not ask me for better prices just because you're a traveler. I need to explain myself for every deal I make, or these will laugh at me. Will laugh at me all the way to the pyre. What can you tell me about Assyrian? That Eva, though he was here more than once, he didn't leave much behind, smelly hoarder. He looks around, then spits on the ground. At least he brought a blade. He bought a blade from me. Do you remember what blade it was? Sure, 'twas a special one, a sickle sword with a tip wider than 'twas the grip. Long as from fingertips to shoulder, nay a sword, nay a knife. Single-edged, brought his own steel to melt for it. What's it good for, fencing? More for cutting bushes, creepers, robots. It will... roots, not robots. What? It will nae fell a tree, but 'tis a fine tool. He nods to a passerby, but his fine smile disappears as quickly as it had shown up. Pathfinders use it. Ma pa used to have one as well. He chopped nuts with it. Nuts and mouflons. So he took it to the wilderness. He shrugs. Pretty much anywhere. There are hills from here to the coast and bogs in the north, and the heart of the woods. Can Nay help you with it? I bring goods to sell. This junk does not interest me. Okay, fine. I could use a job. I need money. Know what? There's something urgent. I need a medicament for my daughter. Medicament for my daughter. Nay that she's hurt or anything. He raises his open palms as if to show that he's not holding a knife. She's a teen, wants to start hunting in the woods. I can nay teach her much, but I'd sleep better with her having a healing potion. You have... He hesitates. Almost 9 days. Bring me the potion before the last dusk and I'll pay you 5 dragon's rings. Where can I find such a potion? A strong elixir would be more than... Well, 'tis all I can pay. Okay, fine. Where can I find it? I can think of two places. The safer bet is beyond Old Pagos, on the mountain of the crazy monks. Crazy and boring, more boring than a mouflon, but they often brew with Numa. You can also head south, east of the crossroads, behind the Pelt of the North. I've nae been there myself, but you'll find a dolmen there, as old as the city, and this, he reaches for his clinking pouch and pulls out a massive iron key, is meant to open some secret passage out there. How do you know about the secret? From a merchant. She's from south of Hag Hills. I was meant to pass the key to her friend, but he never showed up. Fine, I'll look for it. Good, he smiles. Anything else? Nothing for now. And I don't think I have anything else because they mentioned that this inn is really expensive. And I've already got my fill. And I don't have any money at all, so... Should probably figure out what's up with these priests though, huh? Later. This has been going on for a very long time, and I'm getting tired. So, catch you next time. There will be a part 2, probably late tonight, that no one will show up for, so catch you then.